I have about 350 employees, 380 employees, and 92% of them make less than $15 an hour. So I am highly vulnerable to possible impacts associated with the Affordable Care Act. When the Supreme Court decided that Affordable Care Act was law, I decided I had to do something rather significant. I knew I had a problem. And I'm a nuclear engineer of all things, and I worked for Dominion for years, but I own my own company now, and I did what I know, which is to go ahead and start doing a lot of research, understand the problem, understand the variables, and see what I could do. Well, it just so happened that a house guest of a neighbor of ours works for HHS, and I had a conversation with her in July of last year, and I asked her some key questions about how the law was structured. Bottom line is, I was invited, she couldn't answer the questions. So she invited me to talk to some more people. And in September, I guess it was September of 2012, I'm driving up I-40 on the phone with a gal named Liz Fowler. She actually wrote the law. She was working for Obama at the time. She said she was going to give me 15 minutes to talk to her. So an hour and 40 minutes later, she's not answered my questions. And she asked me to come to the White House to talk to her and have a one-on-one meeting with her and a couple other people to understand what was going on with the law. October the 3rd, 2012, I was at the White House. It was me, 7 major players from the Executive Office of the President, the Treasury Department, Commerce, Labor, and HHS. And there was a host of characters on conference call. It was me and all these people at the White House around this table. It was pretty intimidating. During that meeting, the top IRS agent that was there, who was responsible for writing the rules that we're calling today the employer shared responsibility, the penalties. He was responsible for deploying that. And he was sitting right beside me, and he gave me that kernel that I needed to understand and how to deal with this. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to share with you that kernel that he told me, and then walk you through a little bit of what I've done with my own company. And hopefully some of this information will be valuable to you all who may have populations like myself that are vulnerable to place an employer under a penalty situation. Right? I was supposed to do my intro right here because it is a hurricane warning. And I want you to recognize that this legislation, after my year of research, it will fundamentally change America. Now, it's law. So what I want to share with you is, do not put your heads in the sand. If you have a workforce that's vulnerable, and start the process of thinking about how you want to deal with it. Don't trust your benefit advisors necessarily. They're all good people. They're all very well intended. But you as a business owner, many of you are, need to focus on how this is going to transform your business. So let's talk a little bit about what the legislation was, and I'm going to just do a little bit of this. First thing you need to know is the legislation, as currently written today, is 22,700 pages. It is 7 feet 3 inches tall, taller than LeBron James, taller than the average man. What we have done, what I've done with my team and some of my cohorts that are here, we've turned this into one page. And what I want to do is give you the one page right now, and then I want to be able to discuss this, how you can interpret what this is, and you can just pass these around. Okay, now, here's what the IRS told me. I just walked you down the road of the real situation is really what it is. Now, this is what the IRS guy sitting at the clinic told me. Key is this: think like the federal government's contracting model. Nothing that this is going to do. He knew I was an outsourcer. He said, Rich, think like the government federal contractor. Prime contractor then hires a sub. Sub does the work. Nobody ever aggregates the employees from the prime to the sub. He said the federal government will never allow that to occur because it'll completely unwind the whole delivery of federal service. So I said, So he says, if you can find a way to mimic the federal government contracting model, then you can actually take a large employer and you can go small. Really? Okay, so let me go do the research. He didn't tell me how to get it done. He said, if you can figure out how to do it, it's going to work. And that's what we've done. I've taken my big company of 380, I've already moved it out. By the end of this year, I'm going to have 3 employees in my company. All the rest of them, I'll be a prime contractor. I will hire subs to do all my work. I'm doing it, I've already done it now. Right. This is why it works. We talked about where L2s are. So here's Acme PVJ. This is all done, and the idea still in the frame of Acme PVJ. Acme PVJ is a process map of their process of making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Red is where the L2s are. So they mapped not only their vulnerabilities, now they map where are all the workers in the process. So all they mapped where the L2s are. Well, look at the high concentration of L2s. Think about building a house. Think about how a developer builds a real estate development. They hire builders. The owner is the developer. They hire builders as as contractors, as their general contractors, who end up buying lots of subs in order to do it. The development gets built, the housing product gets built, and it gets sold into the market. What we're advocating and what the IRS told me was, that's a reasonably good model. So think about how we build a house. So this is what Acme did. Acme hired a general contractor to be what we call L2S, large to small safe harbor pilot. Somebody to drive the boat into the safe harbor. General contractor created 2 subcontractors, a packaging subcontractor and a shipping subcontractor. And what Acme did is Acme outsourced the packaging and shipping areas, their L2 vulnerability, to a contractor who set up small businesses that were less than 50, so all these people could go. They own the shipping service, they own the independent contractors own the packaging service. It's Acme Shipping Company, an Acme Packaging Company, but they're not owned by Acme. It's like going to a temporary labor provider and buying the labor. Everybody follow me so far? Is that?
So does